Good morning, family, friends. Good morning. I want to welcome y'all to Put Me in Coach podcast and YouTube channel. Once again, good morning. Today is a great day. It's going to be hot today, so make sure you drink a lot of water. Make sure you stay hydrated today. Once again, today is a great day. Good morning. Welcome. I want to talk to you today about storms. Yes, I want to talk about storms today. And my subject, my friend, is no storm lasts always. No storm lasts always. Just recently, in Baltimore, I was in Baltimore like 2 days ago. And Baltimore, Maryland was hit with a severe storm. And I just happened to be in the middle of that storm, as that storm was passing through. I was driving and it was raining, very hard. I could see, trees coming down, trees on the side of the road. People were pulling over. People had their hazard lights on. There were accidents. People were afraid. There was a lot going on in the midst of that storm. And for some people, it may seem like that storm lasts forever. All depending on, the situation that you were in. So the storm came, but the storm also went. And when the storm came and it done what storms do. Storms destroy some things, it rearranges some things, it turns some things around. That's what storms do. That's what storms are actually meant to do. Storms create havoc. That's what storms do. Storms, it creates problems. However, once again, no storm, it lasts always. And even now, you have people, with the aftermath of that storm, you have people still have power outages and, people have some damages. And there are a lot of people that have to do a reset. People have to do an assessment and look at some of the things that have occurred, during that storm, because things happen during storms. And many of us, we have storms. We face storms in our life. We have, relationship storms, emotional storms. We have financial storms. We have all types of storms. But no storm, my friend, it lasts always. You may be going through something right now and it seems like it's a storm. Things are happening. It seems like things are being destroyed. It seems like you're losing things. You're losing people. Because you're going through a storm right now. But I want to remind you again that, no storm, my friend, it lasts always. And I also want to remind you that this is not the first storm that you've been in. You've been in a storm before. You've been through a storm before. And you know what? That storm didn't last always. You got through that storm. You survived that storm. And this storm too, my friend, will come to pass. Yes, the storm that you're facing right now in your personal life and in your finances, and the storm that you're facing as far as your career, your emotions, your spirituality, all that is going on in your life, losing people and losing things. This too, my friend, it shall come to pass. So what do you do? What do you do when you're in a storm? When you're in a storm, you have to, secure yourself. You have to embrace yourself. When you're in a storm, there's certain things that you can do, and there's certain things that you have no control over. So when you find yourself in a storm, do the things that you have control over. Protect yourself in the storm. Try to protect your valuables. Protect your mind, when you're going, through a storm. What is it that you can do? What can you change? What can you secure in your life when you're going through a storm? Because once again, a storm, it comes and it rearranges some things. It turns some things around. So what is it that's valuable to you? What's valuable to you right now, in the midst of your storm that you feel that, you need to secure? You need to secure it. Right now I'm sitting on top of my deck right now, and I have a gazebo that I'm actually, sitting in right now. So this particular gazebo, when I had it put up, I had to have it secured, but it wasn't properly secured initially. So when we had a storm, after I had the gazebo put up, you could actually see that it was moving, it was shifting, because it wasn't secured properly. So to avoid losing the gazebo and it flying all over the place, I had to properly secure it. Because one thing about the storm is going to do what it's going to do. So I had to do what I needed to do to secure it so that it could be safe. So there's some things in your life that you need to secure in the midst of the storms that you're going through in your life. What is it that you can secure so that you don't have to worry about losing this because of the aftermath or the damages that the storms in your life may bring? What can you secure right now? What needs to be secured right now? Because once again, my friend, storms, they come and storms go. You can't stop a storm from coming. The only thing that you can do is prepare for storms. So how is your preparation, in the midst of the storm? Also, I want some feedback. For those of you who were in Maryland, Baltimore, for those of you, that are listening in, you may have been in a storm before. How did you weather it? How did you weather your storm? What did you do? In the midst of the storm. What are some of the things that you lost when you were in your storm? Did you lose anything in the storm? How did that affect you, in that particular storm? And how did that prepare you for the next storm? Because we know there's always going to be another storm. And I think that's one of the issues that we have. We forget. We forget. Because look at it right now. You look at, the sky right now. The sky is beautiful. It's clear. It's sunny. It's a beautiful day. But just 2 days ago, the clouds were dark. The clouds were nasty, because of the storm. And that's how life is sometimes. Sometimes in your life, it appears as if you under a dark cloud. Like you under a dark cloud. It's just pouring down raining. And then right after the sun, it comes out. So no storm lasts always. My life was full of storms. Talking about being sick. Having, an issue, in my head. Having an issue in my head, dizziness, migraine headaches. And no one able to help me. And this was a storm. This was a storm, that didn't last, a couple hours. This was a storm that lasted for 4 years. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine a storm lasting for 4 years? And I know some of you, you've been in storms longer than that. And you weathered those storms. So certain storms, we don't know how long, these storms are going to last. But we know that we have the strength, we have the tenacity, to be able to outlast the storms. And that's one of the things, man, I thank God for, is being able to outlast the storms that were in my life. Because the storm came for one reason, and that storm, it didn't destroy me. It only made me stronger. Yes, I lost some things, but I also gained some things. And one thing about storm, you're going to lose some things. But in the aftermath, my friend, you're going to gain some things. So I want you to think about the storms that you're facing today. Think about life storms today, and think about, how you weathered this storm, how you came through this storm. Think about some of the things that you may have lost, what you could have done to secure some of the things that you lost. Once again, I was just recently in a storm, just driving through Baltimore, and you know what? I received a storm alert on my phone. I received a weather alert on my phone, and it was letting me know, that this storm was coming. It was letting me know how severe, this storm was going to be. But like most people, you know what I did? I ignored it. Because it wasn't the first time I received a weather alert, a flood watch. And I said to myself, yeah, okay, it's not going to be that serious. They always say that. But listen, my friend, I ignored the warning sign. I ignored the warning sign, and I drove right in it. When I should have went and just parked somewhere, or went in the house somewhere, just been somewhere that I know it was safe. So, are you ignoring The warning signs, because the warning came before the storm. The warning signs came. And I know that I wasn't the only one who ignored it. But just think about some people who ignored that sign, and it was tragic for them. Right? So what's the lesson in it? The lesson for me is, don't ignore warning signs, because those warning signs were sent out for a reason. And there are so many warning signs that we get throughout life, and those warning signs are sent out for a reason. And they're not sent out for us to ignore them. And when we ignore them, we find ourselves in dangerous situations. So I encourage you today, my friend, look at the storms in your life. Evaluate the storms. See how those storms has made you bitter or made you better. See what you lost in the storm and see what you gained, in the aftermath of those storms. But always remember, my friend, that no storm lasts always, not even the one that you're going through right now. And it doesn't matter how long it's been, because you got people that have been in storms for a long time. You have, Nelson Mandela, being incarcerated 17 years, I believe, or maybe more, longer than that. As long as he was in prison, that was a storm for him. But that storm didn't last always, and he came out and he became great. When you look at, civil rights leaders, slavery was a storm, for our people. A storm that many people have forgotten about, but I haven't, because look at the aftermath, of that storm of slavery. But our people survived the storm, and look where we're at today. So you're going to face some storms, some financial storms. You're going to face some emotional storms, some relationship storms. You're going to face some spiritual storms. It doesn't matter how spiritual you are, man of God, man or woman of God, doesn't matter what your title, position is. You're going to face, some spiritual storms. Look throughout the Bible. Men and women, they face spiritual storms. Even there was a time when Jesus were in the boat with the disciples and they faced a storm. And Jesus responded to that storm. He spoke to it. He says, peace, be still. So I want to encourage you to try to have some peace, even in the midst, of the storm. And you can have peace, as long as you have, the Prince of Peace, with you, as you go through, the storm. So we're talking about storms here, storms, of life. You can't avoid the storms, but you can, my friend, prepare, for the storms. My wife been telling me a while now. She's been telling me a while now. She said we need to get a generator. We need to get a generator, because, in the area we do have storms. We do have storms. And right now, people said it's been over 24 hours and they still have no power. So that's another thing. That's part of, preparation, getting a generator so that, when the storm comes, because we already know that the storm is going to come. Another one is going to come. It would be another power outage, but you will be ready. You'll be better prepared. So how are you preparing, not just for the physical storms, but the spiritual storms, the financial storms, the emotional storms that you've been going through, the up and downs of your emotions, feeling this way and feeling that way. How are you weathering these storms? How are you overcoming these storms? I want to know. Help somebody else so that they can overcome, their storm. One, be still. When you recognize a storm, first of all, don't ignore the warning signs. Don't ignore the warning sign. Put yourself, in a place of safety. Make sure, that you have the thing that you need, during those storms. But the most important thing is you. You have to make sure, my friend, that you're safe. You have to make sure you're safe first. When you're on the airplane, one of the things they tell you, say, if we have an emergency, if they have an emergency, and the air mask come down, they say the first thing you do is that you put that mask on your children first. That's the first thing you do. You put it on your children, make sure they're safe. No, that's not what they say. That's not what they say at all. But what they say is the first thing you do is that you put the mask on yourself. you secure yourself first. You make sure you safe first, because you're no good to anyone else until you have made sure that you okay. So they say don't even try to put the mask on your kids first or your loved one. They say make sure you put it on you first, because once you have it on you, then you will probably be able to help someone else. So make sure you secure yourself first before you try to secure someone else, right? So we're talking about weathering some of the storms of life. Prayer helps you, through the storm. And not only does prayer help you through the storm, but prayer, my friend, it prepares you, for the storm. Yes, prayer prepares you for the storm, because once again, the storms is inevitable. You cannot stop the storms of life. It's going to come. I always say it's either you're coming out of something or you're going through something. You're coming out of a storm or you're going through a storm. So we always want to be prepared. I always say that proper preparation prevents poor performance. So how do we properly prepare, for the storms of life? Making sure we have all, the things that we need that's going to protect us, that's going to keep us safe. Making sure we have a safe place to go, a safe haven. Making sure we have, the right people we can surround ourselves with, the resources that we need so that we can get through these challenges of life. Some of you dealing with some storms of death, losing loved ones. You're dealing with that storm, losing children, dealing with that storm. There's so much, that's going on. But once again, my friend, you can weather, the storm. You can be okay, in this storm. You can be okay in this season. If you look behind me right now, you see that it's a beautiful day. It's a bright day. The sun is shining, because no storm lasts always. Be inspired today. Be great today. Once again, my friend, I appreciate you. I thank you. Share this video. If you think that it will be a blessing to someone, I would, ask you to share it with someone. Listen to it again. There's a lot of information here, and I'm just wrapping my head around it because I'm grateful. I'm grateful because I understand that everybody don't survive storms. But you, my friend, you are a survivor. You have survived many storms and you're still surviving storms. So be great today. Be inspired today. This is Put Me in Coach. And I thank you. I thank y'all for tuning in. Once again, it's your story, my friend. And you can rewrite it if you want to. We overcoming storms.